Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. So what are we doing here? Let's let the listeners know, because I know everyone's very short attention ADD these days.
They are.
Yeah, what do we do? What are we doing here?
We've got an exciting interview this morning
We
with
do.
the US rapper Benjamin Lerner.
These are all underground artists, so they're artists that people probably haven't heard of, but this guy is particularly amazing.
Benjamin has a debut album called Clean. He's quite skilled too because he can play piano and rap, that's really hard.
That's exactly right, and that's what really caught my eye. Good morning, Benjamin.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good, man. Welcome to Underground Radio.
Well, lovely to meet you. And
There we
we've
go.
just been looking at your debut album, I believe, called Clean.
Yeah, that's it.
And it sounds like a really interesting story. So talk us through how you came up with the idea of Clean and how you, got all the creative and everything.
Well, it all started more than a decade ago. I've been making, traditional hip hop music for over a decade now. I started rapping when I was 15, 16, somewhere in there. I'm 28 now. And back in the day, I was influenced by, the underground hip hop greats. I don't know if you call it underground, but kind of golden age 90s greats, Big L, Nas, AZ, Biggie, all that. I used to freestyle at party circles back in the day. And at the same time I was freestyling, I got into drugs. Started with weed and liquor, but as I got older, the consequences got more drastic, and I was rapping about drugs, the lifestyle the whole time.
Yeah.
And, I have worked with some cliques, up in New York, couple cats who were tight with some cats who got signed, like Wiki, not to name drop. I knew them, but I wasn't working with them like that. But Wiki from Rat King and Radamiz, Mad Wiz, some underground kind of New York MCs. And I personally made tracks through both networking and paying for features with cats like Mac Miller, rest in peace, Smoke Dizza, Raekwon, all that. But, that was all when I was using drugs. And, I didn't think if I was ever going to get sober, because it got bad. It got to pawning my computer and lying to my family from crack and heroin and shit. And it wasn't cool and everything. And I grew up on, 90s hip hop, blunts and 40s, but I never wanted it to go there. So when I got clean, I'd always played classical piano. That's my other musical passion. And so, 4 years ago, I decided to get my life together. Didn't really decide, but I had to. It was do or die. And when I got clean, I didn't know if I was ever going to be able to rap again in the same way. And the truth is that I wasn't, but I was able to rediscover my passion through integrating my two passions in life. So I just decided I'm through with all the fronting and the flexing. I'm just going to tell it like it is, tell the honest story about what happened, like we say in the rooms of my sobriety fellowship, what happened, what it was like, and what it was like now. So I talk about my addiction and my recovery, and it was really dope because I was able to integrate my love of hip hop with classical music to tell the story.
Yeah, the thing that really strikes me about you is you're an amazing pianist as well. You're a beautiful pianist to listen to. So, you're congratulations on, being sober, since, did you say 2016?
Yeah, June of 2016. I celebrated 4 years 3 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Some people are quite happy to talk about it and their past history, and then others don't really want to talk about it very much at all. And I think there's pros and cons for both of that. And I think through life, sometimes, it works out better to talk about it and just, help others, and, especially with your kids, help them, just be aware of, the pitfalls in life. But at the same time, I think all of our experiences make us the people we are and the person you are today. It's, where you've been, where you've come from, your struggles and tribulations, that's all contributed to the artist that you are.
Well, I couldn't agree more. I mean, you talk about whether it's, addiction or the street life or just, personal emotional trauma. And a lot of the time, addiction and that kind of drug culture. And let me first say, I got nothing but, respect for people who are still in it. I'm not here to denigrate addicts or denigrate people who make a living and feed their family doing whatever they got to do. It's not a perfect system. We all do what we have to do. But as far as what I had to do, that was to keep myself alive. I not only had to get clean, but I had to tell my truth. And I got a lot of love and respect. It's an anonymous fellowship. I'm not going to say the name because that's the nature of it. But there are rooms all across the globe, including many in Australia, the drug and the alcohol program of the sobriety fellowship that I'm part of. And it's funny because it's kind of a double-edged sword because they want people to join, but at the same time, the tradition, because back in the day, there was much more of a stigma when those fellowships were founded. But my whole thing is I might not name drop the specific fellowship or, my specific drugs other than in like interviews like this, even at the meetings that I do go to. But if I don't stay aware and kind of, humble about where I came from and where I can take it to, like, I'm going to go back there. So I got to be honest with myself in my music and in my everyday life. And I think that applies, like you said, to more than just addiction and alcoholism. It applies to trauma. It applies to whatever challenges you're going through. My philosophy is whether you got a platform like music or not, keep it real.
Yeah.
And how has being clean changed your life? And what would you say to people that are struggling with addiction?
Oh my God. I mean, what I would say to people still struggling with addiction is that although it's corny, I don't know, but in America we had DARE and kind of like these counterintuitive, just corny, cringy drug programs where people came in and were like, all these horrible consequences will happen. I just wish someone had told me, like, if you smoke pot, like there's a 9 out of 10 chance you might not be an addict, but there's a 1 out of 10 chance you'll be pawning everything you have for dope. But even if you don't, which I did go to, but like, even if you don't do that, the chemicals that most of these drugs produce, like not entheogenic, like psilocybin or LSD, that's not produced in your brain, but that's a different kind of non-physically addictive drug. But like heroin, like morphine, I bet y'all have heard of endorphins. That stands for endogenous morphine. And so when people used to tell me you can get high off of life, I thought they were talking some spiritual stuff. And, that is a spiritual element to the program. I might not get into that because I could go on that for like an hour. But like what I tell people is they are literally chemicals that get produced in your brain from like making art and just like communicating with people that literally mimic the effects of heroin, cocaine, amphetamine, and all of those physically addicted chemicals. Xanax, like GABA and all those chemicals get dropped by your brain from doing like, healthy and pleasurable activities. So I would tell people, put the needle down, see if you can't do it yourself. Because if you allow yourself to suffer through that initial pain and discomfort and like grow to love it, you will understand, as I do now, that it's not like, that drugs were the problem. It's that my underlying mental issues were the problem. And I choose to get high from self-actualization and like the natural chemicals in my body now. As I say on liquid fentanyl, I'm still a junkie. I just get high off of music now, and I just get high off of life now. Simple as that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think that's the thing. If you have an addictive personality, when you do eventually, clean up your life, you do have to replace it with something else. It can be sport, it can be music, it can be, it can be friendships. It can be, you might get into a new relationship, with a person who doesn't have that sort of life, and ask yourself, how you ever, with that person before. But look, I want to ask you about the studio that you're standing in and that beautiful piano that's featured in the song that we're going to play.
Well, I'm in Old Mill Road Recording Studios right now, and I'm blessed to be here. Actually, I forgot to mention, how can I not? This album came as a partnership where I'm from Washington, D.C., capital of the country, but Vermont is kind of like this state. I don't know if it's that famous outside the United States of America. It's the Green Mountain State. It's like northern. It's real mountainous and beautiful. But I used to come up here with my dad back in the day. He was a hippie in the 60s, built a house up here during like the Vietnam War, like Free Love, Jimi Hendrix era. We used to always come up here together. And, I got clean. He gave the house to me because I had a job and I could pay the taxes on it. And I met this really fascinating man named Dr. Joshua Sherman, Broadway producer, also a doctor of all things because, a polymath, multifaceted type dude. But we get to talking about music because of his Broadway past. And, he says he got a studio out in the middle of nowhere. And I don't want to like mess with the video quality too much. But this is like, a beautiful state of the art.
Yeah.
48 or 54 channel, like, Oxford solid state logic facility. So I was blown away by it. And so we formed a musical partnership where both of our musical and stylistic influences come together. And as you can see, it's a beautiful place. If we were doing this during the day, you would see out the window, there is a waterfall with some picturesque ass trees. And it's great to come here. It's great to be able to create here. And I'm blessed to be able to record my musical place where there's an engineer, Grammy-winning engineer, Benjamin Lerner, who can bring my vision to life. And there's a producer who understands me. So.
Awesome. Was that where you recorded the music video for Liquid?
Yep. Scars and Liquid Fentanyl was all recorded here. And Dan and Dave was produced by a in-house artist for the media company that's associated with the studio, Old Mill Road Media, which is actually my other job. I write for the magazines for that. And he did the artwork for that video. But yeah, it was all in-house, indie, facilitated here, recorded here. The only thing it wasn't was mastered here. Mixed, recorded, all that. And I wrote Liquid Fentanyl. I wrote before my creative partnership with a Dr. Sherman, but he helped me, make it more more than just piano and rap at the same time. Made me layer the textures because there's multiple tracks, and that requires a producer's ear. Because I'm a musician, but I got a one-track mind, so it was interesting to collaborate that way.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can appreciate how difficult it is to actually rap and play the piano at the same time, because that's a really hard thing. I mean, even just to sing and play with the piano it takes a lot of practice.
Yeah, it's a trip. That was really the most difficult thing about this whole process, was learning how to adapt to the polyrhythms. Because the thing about it is, I don't want to get too music theory, but I will, just for fun. I'll keep it simple, numbers rather than notes, just in terms of the rhythmic sequence. So in every beat, in every song, because some world music and like old classical waltzes have jazz stuff have different stuff. But for rap, it's mostly, with the exception of a few novelty tracks, 4/4. 4 beats, 4 quarter notes for a whole bar, as they're called in like hip hop terminology. But in most rap beats that aren't old school, the emphasis is on the 1 and the 3 beat, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Like if you listen to a Roddy Ricch, or y'all in Australia still, the Kid Leroy. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's got some dope new like rap stuff, not on the underground stuff, but that new melodized stuff. But that type of new stuff is usually a 1 and 3. But the old school, underground, the Big L, even the G-Funk stuff on the West Coast, it's all 2/4. It's syncopated, it's jazzy. So I had to figure out how to, but 1/3 is usually classical and 2/4 is usually jazz. And the majority of my training is in classical. So I had to figure out how to merge that all together. And if you'll notice, I do a jazzy rap rhythm on Liquid Fentanyl, but I'm doing a 1/3 emphasis classical piano rap. And I had to figure out how to merge that together. And to this day, I'm not going to flex, there are certain rhythm patterns that I just can't do. Like I play more elaborate versions on the recorded tracks on the album than I do live. And I won't lie about that, because, I can layer and do cool stuff in the studio that when I'm just one man at one piano with one track, I can't do. But for that live performance of Liquid Fentanyl, that's my favorite song on the album, because that is the one song where the full version is something that I can play live in one take with one man. So I'm really proud of that one. That's my favorite one.
Yeah, that's awesome. And are you still in lockdown in the US at the moment? Are there any live venues happening, or everything's pretty much shut down?
Well, apart from Dave Chappelle doing like a socially distanced comedy show, I mean, like my friend Vermont is actually, we actually have some of the tightest measures, but we've been able to relax them recently because, knock on wood, everything's wood in this studio, but we're like considered as good as you can be in the United States, which is like 250 or 300 per 100,000. We have the lowest case count in the country, so I'm blessed to be here. But even here, people are still wearing masks, but the stores are open. I mean, after this, I'm about to go with my girlfriend to a dinner, but all the servers wear masks. Your tables are 6 feet apart, and so we're slowly starting to reopen. But as you can imagine, there's a big social debate. I mean, some people, and it's down party lines. I'm not going to get partisan or political, but it's kind of like a social debate about whether you should wear masks or not, which is kind of backwards to me. But yeah, we're slowly emerging out of it, and we'll see where it goes. But I'm sad that the performances aren't happening, but I've been able to reach out to people over streaming platforms like this for interviews, and I'm hoping to do some streaming performances soon. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, awesome. Fantastic. And you see, I think it's, is it Spearhead? They were doing live concerts and that sort of thing. So it's amazing to see how, being forced into lockdown is making some of these other things emerge that we wouldn't have actually thought of before.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's the innovative. I mean, you got Travis Scott on Fortnite. I think some other people too are using streaming platforms through video games to do concerts. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, I hate to say it, but tribulation and struggle can drive innovation. I mean, what's funny is relating to that, the very essence of hip hop, like when Kool Herc and all those Bronx DJs, started those rec center MCing battles back in the day. They made one of the most influential art forms, that is hip hop, out of just two dueling guys with some old, jazz and James Brown funk records. And they took that and they created one of the greatest things, I think, that the musical world has ever seen. So necessity is the mother of invention. I think we're seeing that now with the new innovative ways to perform too.
Yeah, awesome. And in the future, like with your career, who are you hoping to, jam with or perform with or even do a track with? Or
I want to perform with people who aren't scared to be themselves. I mean, I got a bucket list. I've been blessed enough to work with people who I really wanted to work with. Like I love, underground rap, but I'm a big fan of anyone who keeps it real with their music. And one of my favorite artists is actually the older brother of a 3-6 founding member Juicy J, who's Project Pat out of Memphis, a legendary American down south rapper. I've gotten to work with him on several occasions back when I was using, and I'd like to work with him again sober and see if, even though he's, you know, like a trap rapper, he's a dude, and he's been through the system and the correctional system in America with all of its biases and all that, and made it out. And he's still rapping about the street, but he's not in it like that anymore. And I think it'd be cool to kind of forge connections of positivity in areas where people don't think that they could happen. I'd love to work with Eminem. I was lucky enough. I didn't end up working with him because of contractual differences with my stuff. But right after I got sober, I had the opportunity to talk to Royce da 5'9"'s team of Shady, formerly Shady. Now he's got his own imprint. And Eminem's producer, Denon Porter, like from D12. We linked up, chopped it up. And I still got a couple of beats of his that we worked on together that I haven't dropped because I'm doing this piano thing. But I guess I would love to work with Shady. I mean, I'm definitely influenced by him. Eminem would be dope. I would love to work with one of my favorite recovery rappers, actually, who isn't that famous in the grand scheme of things, but he makes really dope recovery rap. Y'all should check him out. His name's Colici, like the Italian name, Colicie, I think. And I love people who are sober making music. I love people who are making real music, and I'm down to work with whoever's willing to innovate and try different stuff and blend genres together, because that's what I'm doing here. And I'm not going to compromise at what I'm doing. So if they want to put an 808 underneath it, like if Hit Boy's like, yo, I like your piano tracks, like let's put an 808 under it, sure. But ideally, I'd still be playing live music in anything that I do, because I think that's, you know, half of what makes it so fun.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for the heads up on a couple of those artists, Colici and Juicy J. I'll check out both of those guys.
Dope stuff, man.
Yeah. Hey, it's been really awesome talking to you. I won't hold you up for dinner. Going anywhere special?
Oh yeah, it's great. My friend who's a great country singer. He's blended genres together too. He has a hip hop background. He hasn't brought the hip hop background, but I'm telling him, same way I did with classical, you should bring it in. I'm going to this place called Union Underground in Vermont. Gonna see a little live music, eat some, be an ugly American and eat some spare ribs and just have a good time, just get it while we can, because God knows I wear a mask when I'm around people, especially immunocompromised, and we're doing all the socially distancing thing we can, but life is meant to be lived, so I'm trying to do it in the most considerate way possible and safe way possible, but still enjoy all the beauty and bounty of life in the time we can.
Yeah, fantastic. Hey, it's been great talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Likewise.
And we look forward to seeing more of your music and checking out your album.
I'm working on album number 2, and we got Grammy nominations going for songwriting, mixing, all that, And I would love to stay in touch, feed you all the new projects, got even more genre influences, and y'all keep it real. I'll keep up with the show. It's been a pleasure talking to y'all this evening.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, Benjamin. We're going to roll that music video, Liquid Fentanyl. Thanks for coming on Underground Radio. Have a good night, bro.
Cheers. Take care, y'all. Bye-bye.
Yeah, peace.
See ya.
Bye.
I never needed a backing track or instrumental. Your shit is dope, but my shit is dope, it's liquid fentanyl. Instinctive channel and voices for my conflicted mental. Stepping on you snake ass bitches while I be spitting venom. I'm not a rapper, I'm a lyricist. Difference is the words really actually matter when y'all be hearing this. I was an addict before I ever smoked weed. Ended up a dope fiend, sick up off the morphine. In addiction I was vain and arrogant, sticking needles in my vein and I'm the pain. With heroin out in Maryland, living dastardly, sick catastrophe. Now I'm penning masterpieces, effortless and passively. Never been a lyricist before my time or after me. Who matches me? Musically, I was trained classically. I could play a scale in major, minor, or chromatically. On black or white piano keys, cackling sarcastically. I rock raw Japanese denim, dyed naturally. Aged leather patches, split selvage on the cotton scene. Ego astronomical, auto-tune, monotone. Cheesy rappers kinda flow like pizza ass from Domino's. Weed smoking rappers rambling while they cheapin', getting mad up off the reefer, call it animositiva. I'm looking at you rappers like donde está comida? In Spanish meaning where the fucking food at, I'ma eat ya. If either I'm elitist, conceded, no competing, no defeating me. I spit like I'm bulimic, continue maglicing you of any rapper at the venue. An animal, a cannibal, you rappers on the menu. Lost up in the ether while I'm sprinting circles round you. And I'm essentially the teacher, you in detention while you're clowning. Astounding, profounding, I deserve a gilded crown. I got the illest skills around, but I'm so diligently grounded, did I mention? No other lyricists contending, they pretentious and demented. I'm relentless and cemented, I'm ascending, they deflating, they defensive. I'm elated, I'm a legend, they some babies, they defective. I'm amazing, correcting their behavior with some epic ass flavor. Anyone stepping on me is essentially flattened in the paper, collapsing underweight. These rappers trapped in gravitation of the black hole that's created from the mass of what I'm saying. My raps are Super Saiyan, turning Goku and Vegeta into tofu and miso soup from Whole Foods that I heat up in the microwave. Y'all sweet as mochi out the freezer, the holy MVP like I be Kobe mixed with Jesus, maybe LeBron or maybe Jordan. A guy with how I'm scoring, I don't fuck with petty talk. All the drama get distorted, leave your ass like Fetty Wap, losing out when I'm recording. You're blinded by the light of my phenomenal performance. Holy fuck, I'm winning and my flow is just beginning. Out of restaurants, I'm eating Dover sole and duck for dinner with dope and lessy women. I don't be trusting in them, they be so like nah, sipping while I'm sober trying to get it. My wordplay intimidated, nerds stay insinuating, falsehoods incriminating, find that shit invigorating. Y'all really don't understand the skill involved in this, but I'm the rap like fucking Chairman Mao and Marx the communist. In the rap game, I'm like Berkowitz, Adama in the murder game. Fuck the fake front and then dishonest shit. I ain't swerving lanes, I'm consistently just dominant. Fuck the president, fuck the senators and congressmen, emperor of everything, infinite forever king. Married to the lyrics, throw the rice, cop the wedding ring. Amateur insidious, can't record a spit like this. Cancel tours of every other artist out, cause this the shit. Hip hop is founded on raw fucking lyricism. Y'all suckers ain't nowhere fucking near the skinny, idiomatic, intergalactic time space, ripped and fractured lyrical dimensional fabric. He can't actually really be rapping. Now it's time to finish, I'm the shit and y'all the bitches. My crusade, the rhyme religion, pillage and I conquer quickly. Lyrical beacon of shining light, blinded prism. Should've died of drug addiction, made it far beyond statistics.
What side you on?
Underground Radio.
The